Marcos Jimenez. He's a former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida. He's outside the courthouse. Mr. Jimenez, can you just talk a little bit about what is going on now inside? The processing part, it seems, is over.
Yes. Well, now that he's been processed by the probation office, he is now heading up to the 13th floor. It's to the largest courtroom that we have in the courthouse. And he's going to have, despite the craziness out here and the gravity of the case, he's going to have a very basic, perfunctory initial appearance and arraignment. And I'm sure it's been talked about a lot, but the conditions of his release will be set. He'll plead not guilty, and then he'll go home. And after that, he'll be assigned a probation officer, and he will have to deal with that probation officer and whatever conditions of release are set by the judge.
And in terms of the venue moving forward, whether this, if it goes to trial, would be in West Palm Beach, how is that determined?
Well, the judge assigned to this case, Eileen Cannon, sits in Fort Pierce. It's the farthest north in our district. It's 130 miles north of Miami. It's a very small courthouse. Here, it's a very large courthouse and is more able to handle big cases like this. And I would not be surprised if the case was tried here in Miami. I think it's an interesting choice because the composition of the jury pool may change depending on where you're located. I would think that if you're the defense attorney in this case, you want the case as far north as possible, where the jurors tend to be more conservative, rather than in a more diverse city like Miami.
Is it possible that on conditions for his release that he could be barred from leaving the country? Is that possible?
Yes, the standard condition of release is that you cannot travel outside of the district without the court's permission and without the probation officer's permission. Typically what happens is if a defendant lives elsewhere or has to appear in court elsewhere, travel will be permitted to those particular districts. Now, this is an incredibly different situation because you have a person who's running for office and he's going to be in every district, potentially, in this country. So they're going to have to set extremely broad conditions of his release, which is unprecedented.
And what do you know about the judge who the former president is facing today?
Jonathan Goodman and I went to law school 40 years ago. We were in the same study group. We had a friendly rivalry there. He's an excellent, excellent magistrate judge and person. He's going to play this by the book. He wrote in his order last night, you know, he's a stay-in-your-lane guy. He's going to handle this just like any other arraignment. It's not a complicated process for the judge. He's just going through a very standard process. And this will be the end of his involvement in this case unless something changes, like a new judge is assigned and he happens to be the magistrate judge that's attached to that judge.
So is Judge Cannon automatically the judge who gets this case now?
Yes, Judge Cannon has been assigned this case through a random wheel. Now, the fact that it was venued in West Palm Beach meant that there was a relatively small number of judges, 3 or 4 judges, who could potentially get it. So the fact that she got it is not as surprising as it would be if it was filed here in Miami, but she's going to stay in the case. And I've heard people say that she should recuse herself because she's biased. I personally think that she is not going to recuse herself. I think if she recused herself, it would make the conspiracy theories that are out there run even more rampant. So I think she's going to stay in the case. And like I said earlier, she is the most important person in this process. She has to ensure the sanctity of this case and of our criminal justice system. She cannot be seen to favor one side or the other. She has to call balls and strikes. She has to play it right down the middle of the road. I know that she has hurdles to overcome because of her prior rulings, which were reversed on appeal. But she's going to keep this case, I think, and she's going to have to do the right thing so that our system of justice is protected. This case is beyond just Donald Trump. This case is in many ways, our system of justice is being put on trial. And every participant in this process has to do their part to make sure that we uphold the tradition of having the best criminal justice system in the world.
And are you confident that a jury in West Palm Beach would be able to do that?
Absolutely. I have high confidence, a high degree of confidence in our jurors. Our jurors, in my experience, I've tried many cases in this district, come in, they do their job. Obviously, biased jurors will be excluded through the process. But having said that, it's very difficult to win a criminal case. As you know, the standard of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt, and you have to have a unanimous jury. So all that Donald Trump needs is one holdout juror. So it'll be the challenge for the prosecution in this case to make sure that this jury does not have that one holdout that's going to ruin this case. Now, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then, but that's how I view the jury dynamic here.
Mr. Jiménez, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I want to go to